And we're back. Another episode of the HigherUp Podcast. Welcome. If it's your first time here, I'm glad to have you. If it's not, welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's been coming up a lot on my social media in forms of comments, people asking a commonly themed question or different versions of the same question. And that is, how do I get the motivation? Or how do I maintain the discipline? Or how do I stay consistent? They're all effectively the same question, which is, how do I get where I say I want to go? Now, I say I want to go very intentionally. I don't say get where I want to go, because if we really wanted to, you wouldn't be asking those questions. Today, I'm going to dive into the flawed belief that we need motivation to do anything in this life, and why the main difference between the version you are now and the successful version of you you're striving to be is that you make decisions based on emotion, and that the most successful people in the world take emotion out of their decision-making process entirely. Before I do get into that quickly, I do want to say I have a community called the HigherUp Lifestyle. If you're interested, the link will be in the bio to join. It's a very fun, very positive place where like-minded people can get together and share their ideas, share their wins, their struggles, their challenges, and come together as a community. I also go live in there once per week and drop a playbook video series once a week as well. We have so far a fat loss playbook, a bulking playbook, a workout program playbook, and a couch to marathon running programming playbook. And I'll be releasing the mindset playbook this week. Very excited to share it with you all who are already in the community. If you are, drop a comment and let me know what you've thought so far. And if you're not, I encourage you to go check it out. I'd love to see you there. Now, let's get into the meat of the episode, which is emotional decision making and why it is so flawed. I personally believe one of, if not the most important differentiating factor between the hyper successful people we see in the world, business moguls, entrepreneurs, social media experts, what have you, people like Alex Hormozy, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, people that are worth an exorbitant amount of money who have built businesses or empires. I believe one thing they all have in common, they have a lot of things in common where they've done research on this, but one thing they all have in common is that they take emotion out of their decisions. And I think sometimes people forget that motivation is an emotion, and emotions are fleeting. We're not always happy, we're not always sad, and we're not always angry. So most people would say it's ludicrous to make decisions in any of those compromised emotional states, right? Don't go make a purchasing decision when you're in a great mood or a bad mood. Maybe find it somewhere in between, or sleep on it. A piece of advice you often get when you can remove the emotion from a decision you may want to make and be more logical about it. Motivation is an emotion as well. So if it is an emotion, why are people depending on an emotion, a fleeting state, as a motivator or something they can lean on to change the trajectory of their entire lives? I made a video a while back that if we could personify motivation, if we could take the emotion of motivation and make it into a human being or a person, and they were a friend of yours, you would not be friends with them for very long, because the highs would be very high, the lows would be very low, they would be wishy-washy, they'd be inconsistent, they may show up when you need them, they may not, they would not be dependable. And that is not a friend anyone in their right mind would keep in their life for very long. So again, I ask the question, why rely on that emotion to change the trajectory of your entire life? And when I say take the emotion out of decisions, I simply mean you have things in every day that you must do. It's not about doing what you want to. It's not about doing what you need to. It's about doing what you must do. And if you can do what you must do every day, the only thing that it was working against you is time. And the more of that you get on your side, the closer you will inevitably be to success. One of my favorite quotes is that 90% of success can be boiled down to doing the obvious thing for an extraordinary period of time without convincing yourself you're smarter than you are. I love that quote because it's true, and it's especially true in fitness, which is the main lens that we're going to view this through. But I've been able to adopt this lack of emotional decision making in my business and my entrepreneurial endeavor, and in my training and my fitness, and it has attributed to the success that everyone asked me about today. How did I build my physique? How did I quit my job? How did I build my business? How did I build the podcast? It's all about emotionless decision making. And that may sound cold or empty at first, but it's actually tremendously powerful. And I'll give you two personal examples, and then we'll expand upon them later in the episode. I'm starting to train for something big, something new, something I've never come close to achieving. And I'll soft launch it here. Basically, I have a friend, Colin Beecham, shout out Colin. If you're watching this, you're the man, who's putting together a group to make a run at a Guinness World Record for the fastest ever 100-person 1-mile relay. What that means is we're going to pass a baton. Each person runs a mile. We have 100 people. The goal is, I believe, to break 9 hours. Basically, everybody has to run a 5-minute and 34-second mile or faster in order for us to achieve the record. 5:34 is snappy. I mean, that is a pretty above average, I would argue, teetering on elite time. And I've never come close to that. My mile PR is a 6:10. Now, I didn't do it when I was fresh. It was after a long run. However, I've never come close to breaking 6, and it's scary. And as I've said before, I believe everybody should take on a challenge one time per year that scares them a little bit, that they're not sure that they can do. That is your masogi. It's a Japanese principle. I got that from Jesse Itzler, and it's been super powerful. In 2022, it was the marathon, because I had never run more than 4 miles. In 2023, it was the ultra, because I'd never done an ultra marathon. And this year, it is running a 5:30 minute per mile pace. And it scares me because I went in for my first workout of this prep we're probably 14 weeks out from attempting this. And I did a workout on the treadmill and I was slow and conditions weren't perfect. I felt awful. I slept poorly, whatever. Those are all excuses. The point is I went in and did a tempo run to sort of gauge my baseline, my aerobic capacity. And 7:45, 8-minute miles were feeling challenging. I was tired. It was probably 7 out of 10 exertion. So I know I'm nowhere near where I need to be, but I will get there. Now, when I say I'm taking the emotion out of it in this capacity of decision making, is a lot of people would get frustrated or say, geez, I'm 2 minutes off and I'm already sucking wind. What's the point of this? If I let my emotions get in the way of my decision making process, I would make a flawed decision and choose not to move forward. When I know I have 14 weeks out, I apply logic to this instead of emotion. I have more than 3 months to knock 2 minutes off of my mile time. I can do that. I have unwavering belief in myself. I've run a marathon. I've run an ultra marathon. I've run fast. I've run far. I can do this. I've stacked proof that I am who I say I am, another favorite quote of mine that you all know about. And I know that I can do this. So I'm going to train for it. And if I let emotion get in the way, I may have considered quitting. But I just said, whatever, it was a tough workout. If I keep pressing, I keep grinding, I will get faster. This will get easier. I will become more resilient and get in better shape. So I took the emotion out of that decision in a continuation of pressing forward. Another example I'll use is my workout today. I woke up early and trained in the morning and I felt terrible. I did not feel good at all. But my girlfriend wants to train in the morning and I decided to go with her because I wanted to train with her. And I took the emotion out of it. I didn't want to get out of bed. I got out of bed. I had a terrible workout. I did not feel good. The pump wasn't there. I didn't feel strong. I'm not used to training in the morning anymore because I've been training in the afternoon for about 6 weeks now, maybe 8 weeks. So instead of letting my emotions get the best of me and saying, well, screw it, I'll just not work out today. This is a terrible workout. It's not productive anyway. I'm having a bad workout. That couldn't be further from the truth. I got in, I stimulated the muscles. I took a couple of sets to failure. I hit the muscle groups I want to hit. I trained with a relatively high intensity for what I could output this morning, and I took my emotion out of it. I went in and I trained even though I didn't want to be there early. I didn't want to get out of bed. I felt like doing something else. And that's another thing I want to touch on. Feeling like is a phrase you need to kill in your decision-making process. When I work with new coaching clients and I give them a calorie goal or a training goal, they say, I feel like that's not enough time in the gym, or I feel like that's too many calories. What do you mean you feel like? You're using feelings to try to back or argue with factual information. And facts don't care about your feelings. We know what works, we know what doesn't. I'm prescribing what works, but that's often met with pushback from people who feel like they know better. So if you want to be successful or be a student of any game or grow and continue to develop, stop saying, I feel like this. Just say, I think, or I wonder if, something that applies more of a thought process and logic than I feel like. Hyper successful people don't say, I feel like going to work today, or I feel like skipping work today. When you root emotions in your decisions, you make flawed decisions. So, brief pause there. I was reading my notes and I don't edit these, a little bit raw. I heard a great quote from Chris Cavallini, the CEO of Nutrition Solutions, the company that I'm sponsored by. Very fortunate to be sponsored by for meal prep. Code HU if you want to try some meal prep, letter H, letter U, for 15% off your first order. Shameless plug. And he said, when it comes to building my business or going to the gym or anything in life that I know I need to do, if I feel like doing it, I will do it. And if I don't feel like doing it, I must do it. He says it's his one rule. If he feels like doing something, he's absolutely going to do it. But when he doesn't, he absolutely has to do it. It's his one agreement with himself that he cannot break. And he goes on to articulate that those key moments, that's where discipline is built. Those moments that you want to do it the least are when it is most important to do it anyway. That is where You create the discipline and the hardening of the routine that's so rooted in you that it becomes like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. It's just something you do. In regards to the gym being a part of your hygiene, if you want to get to that point where it's just like those things, you have to do it when you don't want to. When you absolutely least want to do it, you have to do it anyway. And if you just keep that one rule with everything in your life, you will, a year from now, be so much further ahead than you are right now. It is an objective reality. But too many people let short-term emotional states dictate their long-term trajectory in life. And I think it is a brutal and flawed outlook to have. And it's why so many people aren't where they want to be. And they think that they're in the right because they're letting their emotions guide them. But in reality, all of these successful people, all these ripped people, they went to work when they didn't want to. They worked late when they didn't want to. They went to the gym whether they did or did not want to. There's probably been 1,000 instances in the last 2-3 years where I didn't want to do something fitness related. I didn't want to eat the meal. I didn't want to go for the walk. I didn't want to train. And I just did it anyway. And maybe I went in and I was so out of it mentally that I did half of what I should have done. But that's another thing that people fuck up on in the journey is, well, I'm having a bad workout or it can't be perfect, so why do it at all? Absolutely not. Please, if you have any of that all in, all out bullshit mentality, kill it right here, right now. Say out loud, I will not do that anymore. Because if you get 1% better every day, you're 36 times better by the end of the year, 37 if you want to round up. So I can't tell you how many times I had workouts that probably only got me 1 or 2% better, but I've done them for 1,000 days. So 1,000 times of getting 1, 2, or 3% better has added up to be a contributor to the physique I have now, to the mindset I have now. It's everything that you go, whether you want to or not, whether you can give it your all or not, because those little efforts, they compound and they add up. It's basically the monetary term of compound interest. It's just rooted in your life and your fitness or whatever habit you want to build upon. Another thing that I'll say is very, 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 very important is maintaining and anticipating expectations for not wanting to do it. I think a lot of people start their fitness journey and they're simply not fired up, or they are fired up at the start rather, and then they get 4 weeks in and there are hard days because maybe they've leaned on that fun fact that everybody throws around like it's true that it takes 21 days to build a habit. Well, actually, research shows us it could be 18 to 250 days. So I'm not going to lean on that fact to make sure that, if I can just do something 21 times in a row, it's cemented in my routine forever. If that were true, people wouldn't go to the gym for 3 months and then quit, fall off, and gain all the way back. So it's important to manage expectations and ahead of time tell yourself, there will be days this is tough. And I tell all of my new coaching clients this. This is going to be simple. I'm going to give you the tools and resources, and you will be able to do this, but you're not going to be as motivated as you are right now. You're not going to want to do it. There will be tough days. There will be days that it's even easier than right now to do it, but there will be days that it's the last thing you want to do. And in those moments, you do it anyway. You take the emotion out of it. I've said a few times in the past that you don't need motivation and you don't need discipline if you're just getting started. You need action because action creates confidence. When you take action in something, you do the thing you've been putting off, you get a little hit of confidence, of dopamine in yourself. Action and confidence create momentum. When you get the feedback, the positive feedback loop in your brain and the dopamine hit of, I went to the gym, I hit my protein goal, I hit my steps, dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. Action and confidence create the momentum to keep going and keep repeating the habit. And action, confidence, and momentum over time create the discipline that you're seeking. So when you ask me, how do I create discipline? How do I get motivation? You don't need discipline. You need action because action creates confidence, which creates momentum, and action, confidence, and momentum over time create that discipline. So please tell yourself when things get hard, when you don't want to get off the couch, I just need to take action. I just need to move a little bit. You're putting off that project for work, or you're putting off that entrepreneurial endeavor that you want to take on. I just need a little action. There are plenty of days where I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to do the thing that I know I need to do, but I just pick a small task. I log into my training app and I respond to one message, and then I'm like, all right, well, I'm here. So I might as well just keep it rolling. Sometimes you're just one key piece of inertia away from rolling into a flow state and getting more work done than you ever thought possible. I'll be completely honest with you. I didn't want to come into this office and record this podcast today. And now I'm in it and I'm enjoying it because I took the little bit of inertia. I packed up all my equipment and I just got in the car and left. It's 35 minutes from my house. It's a little bit of a hike, and it's going to be probably 45 minutes back. But now that I'm in it, I'm loving it. I'm in flow state and I'm enjoying talking into the camera in this little room by myself. So make and manage your expectations for knowing and accepting ahead of time, this is going to be difficult at times. There are going to be times I don't want to do it. But if I can just get 1% better every day, I'll be so far ahead of where I am now. When I compare myself to where I was last year, I won't even recognize that person. It's something that I've experienced lately. I have a hard time recognizing the person that I see in my before photo in 2016. I don't know who that guy was. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know why he let himself do those things. I don't know how he could be so unconsciously incompetent of his own well-being and health. And it's because I chose every day to do things that I didn't want to do. And Mike Tyson says, greatness is doing the thing you don't want to do and doing it like you love it. And well, he's Mike Tyson. He's one of the GOATs. So if you don't want to take it from me, take it from him. I hope that in this short mini episode that you've been able to remove some of the emotion from your decisions. Maybe you're listening to this putting off the gym and putting off eating that good meal and saying, oh, I'll get started tomorrow. Oh, the gym will be there tomorrow. Oh, that healthy meal will be there tomorrow. No, take your emotion out of it. You're letting motivation or a lack thereof guide your decision making, and that is a clouded decision. With that being said, I'm going to close out this episode at sub 20 minutes. I'm going to call this a mini-sode. We'll do a quick step check. I totally folded on the last episode. I forgot to do a step check at the end of the last episode. That was an absolute, should have had a V8 moment. But it is 3:50 p.m. Eastern time, and that losing an hour really got me. I was all over the place yesterday, and I'm at 6,779 steps. So drop your step check in the comments. If you're still here, let me know what you thought of this episode. Good, bad, and the ugly. I want it all. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. It really does help me out, and I'll see you in the next episode. It isn't easy, but it is simple. Don't overcomplicate it.